Good day, everyone. For Epic News, this is Marcelo Palermo, and well, the Democratic Party convention has barely finished just an hour ago. Joe Biden gave his speech of acceptance and brought some facts and some projections about what his potential administration will be should he win the elections on November the 3rd this year, 2020. We are embracing for impact for next week's Republican convention now. And in the middle of the whole thing, we have the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic situation. The country still performs at a very poor rate if we think about the amount of coronavirus cases that we're having and how many are all over the world. The world is still in a state of problems and tremendous awareness regarding this COVID-19 situation. Just think about the United States of America. Confirmed cases since the beginning of the pandemic to today, 5,573,847 cases. Today in the United States, we had 43,914 new cases. To yesterday, 331 new added cases. Today were less. The total of deaths until now, 174,255. Really sad if you think about it today. This is how we are doing. And of course, the problem is that in the States and globally, the situation keeps on moving forward. And what we're learning is to cope with it. And both parties, Republican and Democrats, that are right now running the race for the White House, President Donald Trump looking for his second term, Joe Biden looking to become the next president of the United States, have to run on the basis of COVID-19. At least that's what the Democrats are going to do. They're going to project, as they did in the convention, the idea of how the government did during this situation, and how it's keeping on doing, and how is it going to do all the way until January the 20th, the day when at noon, as the Constitution indicates it, if they win, they will take their position in the White House. Now let's see how we're doing globally. Confirmed cases up until now, 22,678,483 cases. Today alone, we have another peak of number, which is of 265,624 new cases. Now, the number of recovered people is actually quite interesting as well. It grew up to 14,541,573 cases. Today, we recovered 202,724 people that were actually cleared from COVID-19. The number of deaths as of today, from the day that the pandemic was declared as such, is 793,698 cases. Now, many things that come to my mind regarding the Democratic Convention, and of course, this very controversial and harsh struggle for the White House. We know that we have a gap. The country, the United States of America, a country with 331 million inhabitants, at least that is the number that we have up until now. We are having a census this year. Probably that number is going to be increased. But the country is deeply divided. We know that there are elements that are going to vote Republican and other elements are going to vote Democrat no matter what. So when people think about who decides the elections, well, the elections are always decided by not only those who are independent because they don't belong to no party, but by those that are independent and use critical thinking towards analyzing what the situation is, what's more convenient for the country according to them, and then for them as well. Now, you have heard over and over again, not from recent months or days, but like for a long time, it's a very common phrase, the one that says, vote, go vote, as if your life depends on it, because it does. I'm going to tell you something that will amplify that concept, that it goes a little bit beyond it. It's not about voting because your life depends on it. It is about getting informed using proper critical thinking to understand each party's platforms in order to, from an independent standpoint of view, no matter if you belong or if you are affiliated to the Republican Party or the Democratic Party, it matters that you understand what each candidate stands for or any candidate stands for so you can know what you're voting for. To me, from my point of view, it does not serve any good purpose to have people going to vote without not knowing what they're voting for. In other words, if you don't know what you're voting for, what are you doing in the polls? Or even sending your vote by mail or by any means possible. The more we advance with technology and everything, we have more possibilities to send votes. Probably we're going to have digital and web possibilities to send the votes as well. But that's not the point. The point here is that you have nothing to do in the polls if you don't know what you're voting for. If you don't read the messages well and properly with the idea of understanding what each politician is telling you. And you're not going to get that from the main networks. You're going to get that by analyzing and perusing the news on your own and digging deep and hearing and listening, not hearing, listening to every voice so you can make an informed and definitive opinion of your own. You need to know that if you have certain facts that shows you that things are not good now, or you think that they're not good, then you need a change. If you see the facts and you think that those facts are actually good according to your set of values and what you think that things that are better for the country should be like, then you should vote for the current administration. So you can make a decision, but in order to do that, you need to inform yourself. It is interesting to read history because despite what they say that, we shouldn't repeat history's mistakes, and those who forget their history are condemned to repeat history's mistakes. We humans repeat mistakes many times. We kept on doing it throughout the history of humanity. Just think about this. Behind me you see some images. One of them is of the pamphlet of the papyrus containing the Lex Romana, the basis of the Lex Romana, or the laws of the Roman Empire when the Roman Empire was transitioning from being a republic and turning to an empire, despite still having elements of a republic because they kept the Senate. But from those Greco-Romans or ancient Greek and ancient Rome's laws, we actually structured the rules of the modern world, and pretty much most of the world's structured part of most of the rules according to those Lex Romana rules and regulations, which were intended to have not a control, absolute control of society, if not some sort of order or an order in order to have a society, a foundational base for a society. Then you also see the We the People document, the opening document of the Constitution of the United States of America, right behind me. Besides seeing, of course, the image of both Senator and former Vice President and former Senator Joe Biden and former Senator Kamala Harris as well, which is now the Democratic formula. They have given their acceptance speech and they are going to now officially compete against Donald Trump and Michael Pence, which is the Republican formula. And as you see, they're wearing their masks and they are being aware of the COVID-19 situation, which is going to be here, unfortunately, I have to say, to stay. But it's up to us to get informed and to help project the basis for not only defeating COVID-19, but adapting ourselves so it won't affect us in a way that it has been affecting us as a country and as a world up to today. I was talking about the U.S. Constitution and the base of the U.S. Constitution because, and that's a good image to focus onto, because it has been said, as we mentioned it before probably here in this podcast, in this program, Epic News, that many are afraid that should the President of the United States lose, he will refuse to leave the White House, or he will try to do something to redo or have again the elections conducted or everything turned around. But there's a thing that in the United States was created with the basis of keeping a more perfect union, although imperfect. This is one of the most successful, if not the most successful, democratic experiment that has existed, that exists, and has been created in the history of humanity, which is the experiment of the Republic, a democracy of the United States of America. The Constitution indicates everything for us to keep on having that thing that makes us exceptional as a country, the peaceful transition of power. So yes, the incumbent president might have the right to refuse to, or to not like, probably, the results should he lose, and love him if he wins. But the thing is, the Constitution has a structure and the basis for us to keep on having a peaceful transition of power. The day we stop doing that, the day we refuse to abide by the constitutional laws, we risk turning into a banana republic, which unfortunately happened all through the Americas. If you go to different Latin American countries, you're gonna hear the sad stories of military coup d'etats and military juntas governing those countries for, in some cases, more than a decade, such as the case of Chile, for example, or what happened in Argentina, in Brazil, Uruguay. It happened also in all the other Latin American countries, one way or another, with a political power that was, or political powers that were beyond corrupted and impossible to be controlled. And of course, people that thought that by taking all the liberties and freedoms, they will actually have the chance to fix or accommodate a country to what they thought it was the ideal way of ruling a country. Hence, you had countries that went through periods of becoming banana republics, but most of the Latin American countries, and that is good news, and of other parts of the world that are underdeveloped or on the ways of development, their countries to become a first world economy, they stopped being banana republics, or they left behind their dictatorial governments in order to turn again to democracy, embrace again democracy. And that made them actually have an imperfect but a functional democracy. When we think about the United States of America and what makes this country exceptional, we get to think of us as capable of keeping that peaceful transition of power and the possibility of having a functional democracy no matter what. That's what I'm trying to appeal to. That's why I'm trying to appeal to your chance of analyzing and understanding how democracy works. I know that in the media there is a narrative created about the fears that we have to have about what's going on, and if eventually it will be complicated or almost impossible to have, in this case, a peaceful transition of power on January the 20th, 2021. But make no mistake, if we are to be and keep on being a serious country and a functional republic with a functional democracy, come January the 20th, if Donald Trump wins the election, he will keep on being the president and take an oath for the next 4 years. Should he lose on November the 3rd, 2020, he should give up his powers and he should trespass such powers. The presidency of the United States of America, presidency and vice presidency, should go from Trump and Pence to Mr. Biden and Mrs. Harris. That is the way it should be. That is the way it will be if things turn that way. And make no mistake, again I say, we have to abide to the Constitution, and we can think that if anything or everything should go wrong regarding our democratic and republican process, then we shouldn't count on being a republic no more. For Epic News, this is Marcelo Palermo. Thank you for watching, and remember, be with us, check us out. We're gonna be there with you, and we got more in this electoral times and these times of a pandemic. Lots of information, many things to learn about. Keep in touch. We'll be there for you. Thank you. You have a good day.